And that's the things that we're doing.
So it is August 4th.
We're keeping up on what's going on around the world, and that we're putting in place the best that we can.
2020.
We need to make sure, and school is such an important environment for our
You can
children.
see what's going on here. Now, they've been on, they were supposed to start at 3.
In a way that
they started 33 minutes ago because I was out getting the apples, because the apples fell from the tree. They're starting to fall now.
To have school.
So I got 2 big bags and a bit.
Despite having a pandemic.
And then, of course,
we've done this before,
the blackberries
are
ready now. So I did that. So I've been baking in the sun.
Do you have a follow-up?
Picking up blackberries.
I do. I just want to talk about
and apples.
Case numbers. I mean, I think over the last 2 or 3 weeks, when we look at them, it's everything from maybe 19 new positive tests to something like 51 a day, but mostly in the 20s,
51 a day.
40s.
Even though some of these things are pre-recorded, let me remind people.
We need to be realistic about what numbers we'd see. What numbers would you like to see in our daily case numbers? What would be realistic?
Being realistic is telling the truth,
say, hey, BC, we're
right? Doing a live stream with
I actually don't
accurate statistics, not something that was reported a week ago and then put on the shelf for a week, right? They wouldn't know a week ago how many people got infected or how many people died, but that's how they've been running their business. Well, they're a cult, because this isn't a cult, people. Okay, they're fucking with people's lives, right? These are not, they don't own your life. These people don't own your life. Well, I wouldn't even call them people anymore.
But we've also seen that where we've identified those scenarios,
there's something wrong with them.
Opportunities where this virus spreads a lot.
And last time I did this,
and we tell you what
her eyes were
to stop those transmissions.
Getting all
for the most part, people are
weirded out. I don't know. I wasn't recording it.
The next important thing.
I don't know if it's still on the video.
But
I didn't bother to go back and see.
Workplace, beware of our social settings, and
it's just a lie. Everything they've been telling us has been one big fat lie. Just like they lied with ShaMay, just like they lied with Uncle John, just like they lied with Amari. Right? They fucked around with Ciera and lied with Andre, and that's what they do.
And for the most part, we are able to find everybody.
That's how they keep their jobs.
But we do that.
Make sure their pensions get paid.
Relatively low.
Right?
And that's what we need everybody to pay attention.
I just wanted to show you that
we need to all
this is on right now. I don't know.
Keep doing what we're doing.
It's been on for 35 minutes. I don't know how long they plan on running it for.
On transit, to wear masks in places where we can't.
We're going to see what happens here in a second, okay?
And
Global Mail.
Okay, so
Hi, Dr. Henry. There's a petition circulating among residents of Hyder, Alaska.
There's this one. I've got this one recorded. I don't think I uploaded it yet, people.
Locals only
I'm pretty sure that was a fake live stream,
They
too.
say this would be a unique situation as the area is so remote. There are no currently confirmed active COVID-19 cases in either location, and it's necessary
because residents of
Hyder rely heavily on services and amenities.
I have to go back. One of these, her eyes were blinking with lights. Something was wrong with her eyes. I don't know. I don't know if it was this one
I read about that as
or this one, because I don't catch them all, right?
Sounds like a reasonable thing.
Especially when I'm outside working
Yukon
or whatever, and I wasn't getting notifications there for a minute.
This is not a BC issue, unfortunately.
Anyway,
this is a Canadian Border Services union. It's a federal jurisdiction because
this one will refresh. Let's see what we got.
The federal border, the border with Alaska. I mean, I think it sounds like
this is when I first opened up.
My only concern,
that hasn't changed.
Is that we've started to see
next
dramatic
page
increases in cases in the last month.
That shows you the reminders.
That's been a challenge.
Right, they've got one coming in
to regularly from Alaska.
On the 6th.
Hopefully,
and here,
both of those
here she is.
Will remain
like I said,
unscathed, but this is
there was something going on with her eyes. I don't know.
Government.
I don't think I was recording it at the time because I don't just sit here and record everything, right?
Nope, I'm okay.
But I seen it, and I'm so disgusted with these people.
One of the things you mentioned
so-called
in your
people,
opening remarks was
that
the long weekend.
It's really hard for me to sit here and listen to them
pressure on the system.
Because when they're telling me that 2 people have died,
to be pushed back in
and they did the live stream 4 days ago,
is the pushback at the start of school something you support?
And they didn't die yet.
Can you explain, whether you would have concerns
I don't know.
with kids going
that's
back
pretty
to
messed
school
up.
on a Tuesday right
and
after,
all the governments are doing this. right?
Yeah, I think
going after the elderly because one, they've got the money.
And it's traditional.
Two, they can clear out the beds and put more elderly in there and target them.
Tone to that weekend than what we see and maintain physical distance, but it means you're not being exposed.
They're bringing in pods
everybody in the
into school, like
you're being
in a hospital.
Potentially exposed
pod,
to those periods of time where you can't maintain distance to a much smaller group of people. So again, aftercare and pre-care needs to, each family needs to look at how that looks for them.
They're bringing in
it's a very challenging one.
All these Lucy's
I think
into the schools.
Pandemic year, we need to really consider about some of the after school.
I'm sure they won't be from Canada.
To be into,
right?
And look at how we can do those. On a much
ShaMay never made it to be a nurse. They don't need nurses born and raised in Canada. They get them from overseas, right? Big They're easier to boss around and tell them what to do. They won't squawk because they don't want to get sent back to their countries. That's exactly what's happening, people. Half of them don't speak very good English, if at all.
But I know that the committees that are working on putting these plans together will be considering those issues as well, and parents will have to look at how do we maintain.
And then special cases like ShaMay.
For our children,
they bring in the white Lucy's
if we're going back to
because they were mostly white people that were dealing with ShaMay. Not all of them. It was a Punjabi that harvested ShaMay's organs, and I don't know who took out her teeth.
We have time for one more
somebody
question.
Did.
For any reporters that didn't get to ask a question, there will be a statement released this afternoon for recommendations on protecting families and communities and for access to provincial guidance on COVID-19. Visit BCCDC.ca.
I don't trust him.
And for non-medical
so I'm just going to sit here and keep doing this.
COVID-19 response, visit gov.bc.ca/COVID-19.
But I think what's happening here, I'll let you know when I'm pretty sure about it.
I hate to belabor this point, but regarding schools and the 5 months that British Columbians have been asked to keep their distance, but outside,
what's the question?
Wear a mask if you can't keep your distance.
Maybe her eyes will start
now that we're being asked to do the
blinking lights.
Schools have large groups in enclosed spaces with limited distance for long durations of time. The pushback is, what are you asking the students and teachers that doesn't mesh with what we've been doing for 5 months? People do not understand how
something's wrong with their mouth.
Periods without barriers.
Do you see it?
In schools, but
look,
not at work, not at
what happened in there.
Not at the store, not at a funeral, not at a wedding.
What's going on with her face?
So I think you're perhaps not reading the same thing I'm reading in that we've not said that. What we're saying is that the maximum that children may be exposed to, but we are continuing to have physical distancing, making sure, especially for the younger children, what we did in June, where you avoid physical contact.
This is what occults do, people.
That you have distancing.
Right? They pair everybody off. They tell them who they can talk to, who they can't talk to. They're going to put the smart kids with the smart kids. The kids that, they want on Ritalin, they're going to put them together, right? They're going to take one kid and put him in a group where everybody's going to pick on him. This is what they did in the 60s, Scoop, people, with the Native people. This is no different than what they did when they took the children away from the Native people and put them in residential schools and started doing their science experiments on the children.
Knowing that this virus is going to be with us.
That's what they did, people, and they're doing it again.
Absolutely critical learning opportunities for children.
Unless you can put your child in a private school or something like that, you're at the mercy of the transgender movement within the public union sector, gays and lesbians and the whole 9 yards, right? Because they push that neutral gender. You're not a boy, you're not a girl, you're a they. Like, what the fuck? Rewriting God's
I think you
DNA,
need to understand that it's going to be different depending on the classes. And so we're setting
brainwashing them.
Number
that's what occults do. They brainwash people. And who's the easiest to brainwash? Obviously children. Children are the easiest to brainwash. They can't fight back. That's why they have parents. The parents are supposed to be fighting back. The parents aren't doing shit. Everybody's a fucking coward, right? They come in with their thumbs down. Obviously there's a lot of people that don't like what they're hearing because they know it's a bunch of crock.
As well as being able to do contact tracing if we need to in those settings. And, this will look different. For many children, it will be far less than 60 would be the numbers of people that they'll actually be in a class with or be in a school setting with. But what we're saying is...
Nobody ever has 60 kids in one classroom.
300 kids that are in your school. We're going to be segregating by
different
ways in different schools. So whether it's all the grade 3s, maybe, or broken into different groups. So that's why I can't be specific.
Let me pick your friend.
Districts, and each of them have
Let me pick your friend for you.
With the students
they're going to force kids to be
but we've set a maximum level
with kids that they don't necessarily get along with. They're isolating children, right? You know, they're doing whatever the hell they want.
Marcella, I think we've talked about a lot of different things here about as we've gone from phase 1 to phase 2 to phase 3. We've talked about...
they keep talking about how this is going to go on for a long, long time.
Restaurants and bars.
Right?
We've been talking about adult entertainment.
Adult entertainment.
We've also achieved some things. We've relaunched surgery in a way that's safe. I think we're doing visits and long-term care.
Lots of people didn't get surgery, people.
And we've done all of this.
Lots of people falling through the cracks.
We're acting here with respect to K to 12.
They just wanted to clear out the hospitals because they were overflowing because they don't put enough resources into the hospitals itself. So they had to scare everybody the fuck out.
Who have a record of understanding and
then keep them scared so they don't go.
I think
right?
I think we're going to achieve this. And
cancel this, cancel. As they take that money and they spend it somewhere else. Propping up their life insurance policies, propping up their superannuation life insurance policies, and their pension plans, and their disability packages, their dental plans, their health care plans, their gas money.
Are going to be able to get this done.
Their airplane money, their hotel money. Who do you think pays for their hotel when they're supposedly they don't even go to the parliament anymore, people. They go to the freaking movie set. That's where they go. This is a movie set.
On March 20th. And we have to take those steps because we care for those children, because we want to see them learn.
No, they don't care for the children because they're treating them like the native children in the 1960s. Right? What are the native children stuck with? A bunch of freaking nuns that were so-called nurses doing science experiments on them, segregating them, isolating them, punishing them for not following the rules. Right? Separating them. Right?
We feel,
they're not doing, this is history. History repeating itself. This is what this is, people.
We take everyone, I think, involved, takes very seriously, and we're going to work towards achieving in the coming month. And that's my expectation.
This is terrible.
That's our expectation.
And the public, they're being held hostage to this.
Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup.
Right? People don't know how to fight back. I'm listening to people talk. Right? Saying, how do we fight back? What do we do? There you go. 5 hours ago. Where are we? Okay. Just because they're doing... You know what they're doing? I can tell you what they're doing. Okay? That was a pre-recorded live stream, people. Okay? This is what they're doing because they know. They know people are catching on. They didn't do this 5 hours ago. And if they did it where they didn't show anybody that they did it. Because this thing was probably done 4 days ago. Okay? It was probably done way over here. Okay? It was probably done on the 23rd. Okay? But they have to restream it. So it reads 5 hours ago. Alright? This is what I'm thinking. So it kicks out the 6th day. If it was done 6 days ago, let's just say, for example. They're going to change this, though. They're going to bring it up to date. They're going to change it, okay? So, first it's not there. You've seen that. It just changed. It was that. I refreshed the page. It went to that. Okay? Here it is right here. Now, this one, I'm going to go into here. I told you, they took it down. Did you see that? Did you see how fast they took it down, people? Did you see how fast? I haven't even turned off the camera yet. Because it's right there. Okay? Right? Because they're trying to hide it. They're still trying to hide it. Okay? They restreamed it so it would read that. Okay? It would read that. But they took it down within minutes from me showing you that. Right? But if we keep refreshing this page in about 15 minutes or so, after they process whatever they process, however they're processing it, it's going to come back. But it was restreamed. The point is, people, it was restreamed. It was not a live stream. Okay? So they could very well be restreaming twice. Okay? They did the restream to hide the true date in terms of it was done 4 days ago. Right? And as soon as the restream was done, they took it down. It's right there. I'll refresh this page. It's going to come back, though. You watch and see. Right? It's going to come back. I'll refresh this one so you can see it. That will disappear because they're readjusting their stream. Do you see that? July 30th. It is not July 30th, people. It is August 4th, and that stream just ended. And they've got it posted at 5 hours ago. Although, we were just watching that stream 57 minutes ago. Do you get it? Do you see what I'm saying here? So, I personally think, okay, this was before the live came in, right? I personally think that, what do you call it? They're restreaming restreams to get rid of the 4-day, 5-day, 1 day. Because they're lying, people. They're lying. That right there proves in itself that they're lying. Okay. So, here's the 592 views. Right? There's the 560 views 5 hours ago. Remember, at one point, it was 2.1K views, right? Like, this is who is looking after the public. A bunch of fucking liars. Here's the set reminder, right? It started at 3, but I came in at, 33 minutes after 3 into the live because I was getting the apples and the blackberries. So if that started at 3, it's only 4 o'clock now. Okay? Tell me, how was that restreamed 5 hours ago and we didn't see it? We didn't see it, people. Right? But if you noticed how fast they took it down, because they didn't want you to see that. Alright? They still haven't reposted it yet. Hold on. Okay, so now it's back. You can see that. Right? 592 views. What happened to the 2.1K? 2,100 that were watching that. You've seen that in this video. They all disappeared, but anyway, we got 592 that was done 8 minutes ago. Okay. The live was over an hour ago. Let's start from the top. Go here. Okay. First it wasn't on there. Whatever. And then it was on. I already closed that browser. It said 2.1K. You've seen that. Right? And as soon as the live was over, alright, you know I'm watching, right? Okay, it came up, it wasn't even up. As soon as the live was over, the true live stream has to go through. You can see it. It was done 5 hours ago. It wasn't done an hour ago, people. And nor was it done 8 minutes ago. It wasn't done 8 minutes ago. It was done 5 hours ago. But they took it down July 30th, and then they came back in and they reposted it. Even though it was restreamed maybe very well 5 hours ago. I'm starting to think that they're restreaming restreams twice to kick out where you don't see 4 days. It was done 4 days ago versus you'll see 5 hours ago. But at the end of the day, it was still restreamed under false pretense because they're reposting it at 8 minutes ago. As it's showing on here, it was an hour ago. Right, like, because they're lying, people. They're full of lies. That's all it is. Just a bunch of full of freaking lies. Okay, August 4th, 2020. Andre and I, we got blackberries, people. And we got apples, and boy, oh boy. The apples, it rained, and the apples are falling, and I got lots and lots of apples. So anyway, here's the juice. I strained it. I'll strain it one more time. And then I'm going to start cooking. I don't know, probably these ones. Those ones I'll probably use for my jar. I have to actually get my jars ready. I just remembered. And then I'm canning some, right? But I want to can it with juice, remember? So I have to make juice. So I'll probably use... I'll start with that first. See what I get, right? And then I'm going to take... I don't know what it's called, but it's this thing that goes around and around and squishes everything out, right? In terms of juice. So I will do that because the seeds collect. And they don't necessarily go right into the juice itself. But I can do pulp. Because if I can get the pulp out of the seeds and the pulp out of the juice, so I have juice, pulp, and seeds, then I can take the pulp and I can, what do you call it? Maybe make fruit leather, which Andre would like. And then, of course, the juice is going to be the juice in the jar with the blackberries, right? And then I'm going to seal the jars. And I do have 2 small trays of blackberries ready to go in the freezer, but depending on how much juice, how many jars, if I'm short, I may end up taking a bit from there before I freeze them. So, we'll see. Oh, hold on. Okay, so I've cooked them for a while. Now I'm just going to turn down the heat, and I'm going to go find cheesecloth. Hold on. And then, like I said, right, the apples are falling. There's big bags. Look how big they are. Right? I guess because it rained last night or something. Anyway, that's the first batch. So what's going to happen now is I'm going to wash them, pick through them. The ones I don't want go into the compost, which is great for composting, right? And then let them dry, and then I'm going to just put them in anti-ShaMay's fridge because I have to go outside tomorrow, right? But I have a headache, people. Right? It's been really, really hot. I've been working in the sun, overworking, cooking in the stove. By the stove, just pressure in my eyes, so I got a headache. Right, started last night, and I've had it all day. But anyway, this only comes around once a year, right? If I was to go buy one bag in the store at $7 a bag for a little teeny weeny bag, 7, 14, 28, anyway, I'd be looking at 14, 14, 28, another 14, $32, 32, maybe $39, 30, maybe $40 per bag. Between 35 and $40 per bag.
230 clinical trials for potential treatments are underway, and we've...
Okay, so that's straight up blackberry juice. Not very much in there, but I think it should be enough. I've got 4 jars so far, and I put 2 cups of sugar in there. I just brought it up to a light boil, and then I turned it down. Well, actually, I turned it off. I'll fill up my jars. Hold on. Okay, so this one's got a lot of juice and half berries. These ones, all these other ones, are full, pretty much packed of berries with juice. Okay, now I'm getting ready for the canner, right? And then I'm bringing it up to that low boil, and then I'm just gonna keep it at that for about 30 minutes or so. Alright. I put 2 cups of sugar in with the juice. So you can see, just don't overboil it. Okay, so now it's August 5th, 9:15 in the morning. I'm just getting ready to start my day here, people. Okay, so this is what I did. I'm taking off the lids now. Okay, and then you take them to the sink, right? And you put them in warm soapy water and you wash them good. Okay, don't forget to wash in here as much as you can. Maybe even take a little. See, it's sticky. I can feel it, right? Because what will happen is, if in the old days I used to just basically wipe my jars, right, and then put them away. And then if you miss something on your jar, over a period of time it's going to oxidize, right? And then, you know, you're going to come, you're going to touch it, and you think, ooh, maybe, you know, the jar popped. When in fact, that's not what happened. You just missed food particles as you were washing. So the best is just take it to the sink with lukewarm, soapy water. Wash it really good, right? If you need to, take a little toothbrush too in there. Rinse it well under the cold water, okay? And then just put it on the counter and let it air dry, right? And then that way you don't get that oxidization of leftover something along. Well, you can still get it, but it's not as bad as if you just came along and wiped the jar, right? Now, the other thing is, I had this in the canner for 35 minutes. I don't know if you can see this. Let's see. I don't know. This camera is so dark these days. I don't know. This camera's... I put it in heat, cold, open the oven, and whoosh, right? It's in the dust. So, it's pretty worn out. Into the sun. Okay, you can't really see here. Anyway, you can see up in here. There you go. There you go. You can see up in there how it pushed up. So, right? Now, that's everything heating up. If I would have had it on a high boil with that lid on top of it, okay, it just would have created that vortex, which is going to push up more and more and more and more, and then, right? That's what happens. So, you don't have to have everything on a mad boil in order for things to get done, okay? So I gave it 35 minutes in the canner with a medium-high boil, no lid. And I'll show you how much leakage I got in the canner compared to if I would have had it on a high boil with a lid on, boiling for 20 minutes, and then even letting the jar sit in the canner for 10 minutes and then bringing them out, and then all of a sudden you lose all that liquid because of the temperature change in the air, right, from hot to cold, right? It's just like when hot to cold, you know, with glass it will explode. Well, it's the same thing from hot to cold. The air is colder compared to what's in the canner, even if the jars sit there for 10 minutes. If they were like, you bring it into the cold air, and yeah, you're going to get a reaction to that. So you kind of want to take the middle road, right? So that's what I'm going to do now. So I'm going to, this is what's happening here. I am going to wash my jars, right? Get them on the counter, get them drying. And then I'm going to get into these apples. I'm going to sort them out. I never did it last night because I had to carry the bloody things home, right? Anyway, sort them out, wash them, right? I may dry them by hand with a tea towel just to get them in the fridge faster, or I may air dry them. It depends on the shape of them. Now they just fell because I remember I said it must have rained, and because the last time I checked there was no apples, and then all of a sudden there's like two big bagfuls plus more, right? So, and there'll probably be more today. So we have to go every day. As long as you get them and you get them in the fridge, right? Then you have time to work with them, right? But you have to sort them out, and you really technically want to wash them and have them, dried in some kind of a manner before you put them in the fridge. Because the moisture will speed up the spoilage, where if the apple is dry, right, it will just, retain the apple. And then that gives you time. So, and of course, this is what's happening. I'm telling myself, Judy, this only comes once a year. Like, because I don't want to do it, people. Like, I'm so tired. Like, seriously. I don't really want to be making apple juice. I don't want to be peeling apples for hours. Right? I don't really want to be making applesauce or what is it called? Apple butter. Right? But I am. Because it's once a year. And, it's a gift from heaven, people. Like, honest to God. Like, like, it's organic food. You've seen my videos. I come with a little bag of apples that says organic on the package. And it's like $7. I've got, like, you'll see by the time I'm done with these apples, you'll be like, I saved myself hundreds of dollars on organic apples. And, I have that food security. But the thing is, you have to do the labor, right, in order to get the results, right? So that's what I'm telling myself. It's just once a year. Just space it in, it goes pretty fast. This time around, I think what I'm going to do is, as I'm going, right, because the apples will get bigger as they fall. Right now it's just the little ones. The little ones, like this. I'll show you. Right? Like these ones. This is what's falling right now. Okay, they're hard to peel, technically. Right? Because that apple tree is grafted with 3 different types of apples. So you're going to get 3 different types of results, right? And they all fall at 3 different times. And that's what happens. So by, as the month goes by, you're going to see me come with bigger and bigger and bigger apples, right? Right now we're into the first stage of the drop, okay? That's what's happening. And so anyway, the ones I don't want, I just put into my, into my compost. Because they're really, really good for compost, right? So I'll pick up the ones that are even rotten, put them in their own bag, bring them home, and throw them directly into my compost piles, right? And it enriches the soil. And so anyway, this jar here, I'm not going to rush with this video, people. Okay. I got a long day. I'm just getting the apples in the fridge so I can go back outside, right? But of course, there'll be more apples falling. So at some point in the next day or 2 or 3, I'm going to be doing something with apples, right? Because it only comes once a year. And it's the right thing to do. And I'll thank myself after the fact. So, these ones here, these apples. Okay. Let's see. They were canned mainly from the little ones. I don't know. I want to show you. I don't know if you can see. Here, maybe we'll do it this way. Hold on. Okay. They were canned straight up, basically like that. That's how they were canned. Because that year, 2014, I had the same problem. All these little ones came in. I didn't know what to do. So I looked online, and you can can them basically like that, even with the seeds. Because you got to factor in arsenic, right? In terms of apple seeds. Too many apple seeds can, you know, create arsenic. So anyway, do you see that stem in there? That's because they were canned basically whole, these apples. So when I take them apart, you will see that. Am I doing that again? No, not this time. Before I do that, I take these, wash them, cut them in half. Well, first take off the peels that I don't want, and then, you know, cut them in half, decore them, and I can freeze them like that as is and use them at a later date. Okay? Now, as the apples come and they get bigger, and I get overwhelmed with them, some of them I am going to peel, cut, put them in either lemon juice or citric acid, right, in terms of the, you know, vitamin C powder to prevent browning. And then, you know, take them out of the water, and then, you know, put them, maybe put them on a paper towel or something, let them just absorb a bit of the liquid, and then freeze them flat, you know, spread out, and then when they're hard and frozen, do the same thing like I did with the blueberries, right? Vacuum seal them into little packets where you can get 1 or 2 pies at a time, versus peeling, cutting, freezing them independently, and then putting them into bags, you know, like just a plastic bag or a Ziploc bag or something, throwing them in the freezer, and then later on, you know, you find ice crystals on them and you don't want them. Better to vacuum seal them. So that's what I've decided to do with some of these apples, right? Since I'm peeling them anyway. And then, obviously, the juice. The juice is the big one. The juice is what keeps me going, right? Because it's real organic apple juice, and it's very nice. So, and then with the juice comes the apple butter, right? Because you got the extra pulp, and you're not going to want to waste it and throw it out. And, you know, one man's junk is another man's treasure kind of thing, you know? Just because you're not using it today doesn't mean somebody might not use it tomorrow, or you might not use it tomorrow. If I had more, honest to God, if I had a bigger kitchen, I would be making cinnamon buns with that apple butter, or other things like an apple roll. I would do an apple roll versus a jelly roll. I would do an apple roll, or I would do big trays of cinnamon buns with that apple butter spread in between with a lot of brown sugar, butter, and cinnamon. Oh, that would be so good. But I don't have enough counter space for that, because you need to roll out the dough and you need to have your pan sit and rise. So I do the best I can, right? Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get on with these apples, but before I do that, I'm going to wash these jars. Okay, I'm just going to have to pace myself through this day, people. My head is just it's going on to the 3rd day. Right? Get outside, work under the sun, bending, lifting, whatever, banging, whatever it is, shoveling, banging, stretching. It all plays a role, right? And then now I'm in the blackberry bushes. I'm finding I'm getting up in the morning and my nose is so full of histamines. I literally have to turn my head upside down just to be able to drain my sinuses from being in those blackberry bushes or any bush that I'm getting into, because everything's bushy now, right? So, you know, I come out of the raspberry bush and I got spiders on me, you know. So anyway, moving along. So, raspberry tea from last year, but it's doing nothing. It's just sitting in the jar. So this year, I have a nice bag filling up, right, of raspberry tea, and I'm getting a lot of the leaves very short, just sprouting. I'm pinching them off as they're coming, right? They keep resprouting, so I keep pinching. And this is what I'm getting. You can see. Right? So, versus wasting this, I am going to put it in there and rub it in with what I already have. And then I'm going to put it in the bag because those ones are dry. Because I have to make space, right? I'll put it in the bag because those are dry. And then eventually I'll find some kind of a jar for it. I'm not sure what yet. Right. I prefer having my... Maybe I'll use this jar. That would be nice. That's a nice size jar. That would fit that. Maybe something a little smaller. And then I found myself, well, I had packed, put it away, right? Isn't that nice? This one's not painted. This is the actual, with it in the glass itself. These are like kind of collector items, right? I have a few of them around. So I had put it in Uncle John's room and I haven't been using it for a while because it's not one that really seals very well. So I don't know what to put in there, but put something in there. I'm gonna wash it first. Here's my little Japanese herb. I tasted it dry. It's not so bad. So before the plants start to turn brown, right? I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna harvest a whole bunch more leaves and probably, you know, get myself something, right? I don't know yet. Get more. And then over the next, oh, I don't know. It's hard to say, people, with these apples coming, honest to God. And then, you know, everything else I do in a day. Today I'm going to tackle the porch because I just can't get underneath the sun and start banging and moving and carrying and lifting. And I'm going to go with Andre later and check the apple tree and get those apples, right? It only comes once a year. And I will process those apples because it only comes once a year. Because there's going to come a time, one day, right, especially if we stay on this economical path in our society with our governments controlling a large majority of the population in terms of where they can go, who they can talk to, when they can talk to them, how they're going to talk to them, if they're even allowed to talk to them, and so on and so on and so on. As millions of lives are completely falling apart. Like, I am so blessed to be even standing here and being able to say the things that I say when it comes to this stuff. So, you know, this is kind of like a little educational form where maybe you can't do it right now because your life is falling apart. I've had my life fall apart in the past too, people. And, you know, you just have to hang in there, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, and rebuild when you can rebuild. And this just happens to be one of those situations where I can build or rebuild, however you want to say it, right? Because in the next week or 2 or 3, I am going to find the time to show you why you do this. Because 4 years later, you can come to your jar and you can make those cinnamon buns. In this case, it would be apple plum butter. that would be nutritional, organic, and good. And it doesn't cost you anything because you made the investment 4 years ago, right? So, I don't know why it's kicking around my cupboard, like on my counters. Because I brought it up from somewhere wanting to do that, right? But I get swamped with other things. But I'm going to do that just to show you that you can do it too, right? And just because you can't do something today doesn't mean that you can't do it tomorrow. You just have to navigate around things and be an opportunist when those good things come to you, like that apple tree. It's such a faithful apple tree. It will be a sad day when the city of Surrey and the property developers cut it down. I don't want to be there to see it, people, because I would literally cry. Literally, I would literally cry. So that's, oh yes, and then, so when it comes to now blackberries, this is the plan, Stan. This is what I'm going to do. Okay, I've washed the jars. You can see that. Right? They're air drying. I'll label them up. I'm going to take them downstairs. You can see everything rose to the top, so it got nice and hot up in there. Everything's sealed nice. Okay? And by lowering the temperature just a little bit, you didn't get as much leakage. You can see it leaked a little bit, and that's okay, right? You just don't want that vortex where it's pouring out. So that worked out pretty good. So I'm impressed with that. So now the apples are over there. After I turn off this, because I'm making room, I'm gonna get into these apples, start sorting them out. Then I will show you where I'm at in that stage of the game with these apples. But when it comes to blackberries, like today we're going to go and check for the apples, and I'm probably going to take some time to pick some more blackberries because it's only once a year, people, right? You know, I think people don't do it even though they may want to, in part because of laziness. And they've been so conditioned to go into the grocery store and buy perfect produce, so they think, right? That, you know, they see something growing along the curbside in terms of a blackberry bush, and they don't see the value in it. So anyway, this is what's going to happen. I'm going to do more blackberries, but I'm not canning no more. I have, what, 9 cans? Something like that? 9 jars? So I'm good, right? What I am going to do, though, is when I pick them, just teaching you little tricks along the way, right? When I pick them, you pick them, and you put them on the tray. And you have a stack, you bring them home, and then you run them under the water. Just don't take them off the tray, just run everything under the water, right? Shake them off, let them air dry. If you want, you can throw them into the dehydrator for a little while, and then, you know, speed up that drying process just enough to take the moisture off the surface of the berry, and then you take your trays and you freeze them. And I'll tell you, frozen blackberries are so good, especially when they're really ripe and juicy and plump. Oh, right? But you want to break away from that crystallization in the bag, so I recommend vacuum sealing after the fact of them being frozen. That's what I'm going to do between 2 to 4 trays. I don't need a lot because I've got lots of stuff. But it would be nice to have that either to snack on or make pie fresh with blackberries versus using it this way. I don't need to dehydrate blackberries because I have jars full still from back in the day of blackberries that are buried deep in the cupboard And that's like emergency. Oh, thank God I found something to eat kind of an emergency. You know, that's that real hardcore food prep, that, you know, long-term storage, that, you know, right, Zombieland, right? Oh my God, think of blueberries or blackberries, you know. And because they've been sealed and they're in those big brown wine jugs, right, and sealed real tight, they're good to go. So I don't need dehydrated blackberries for any reason under the sun. But I do want to try and make blackberry jelly, right? So I'm just going to do 2 to 4 trays of frozen blackberry. This is what I'm going to do. I know I'm dragging it out. This is what I'm going to do. It's because I have a headache and I don't want to move people. But I have to, right? It only comes once a year. And the reward in the end is so nice. Right? So I'm going to go out, pick some more blackberries, maybe 2 trays, depending on what I find, or whatever, and I'm eventually going to, maybe not right now, depends, because I picked blackberries yesterday, but in another 3 or 4 days from now, if I pick blackberries, I'll have enough to make the juice, to make the jelly. I will try to do the blackberry fruit leather by de-seeding the pulp. Hard to say what will happen. Might have to add a bit more sugar or maybe another fruit to it just to thicken it up. I don't know. And then I have Lucy's box. If you're watching, Lucy, your box is still somewhere on my floor. I don't know where it is. It's kicking around. I had the little creamer in there for that teapot. Well, I don't know if, no, I didn't have it in there. I found the creamer for the teapot, and then I was going to put the creamer in with the teapot before I sent you the box. But for whatever reason, I can't find the little creamer, right? You know? So anyway, long story short, that box is still sitting there. Inside the teapot are those dehydrated blackberries that I did last year. So technically, I should probably dehydrate. Well, I don't know if I want to dehydrate, but I need to get this box out to you. So I'm thinking, okay, this is how you do it. This is what will get you going on it, right? Just do your blackberry jelly and throw in a jar for Lucy in her box and try and get this box mailed out by the end of August. And if I can get it out by the end of August, because it's kicking around somewhere in here, right? Then I can pluck out a couple of sage plants, because I said I'd send you some sage plants, right? And, you know, I can even just grab a few blackberries off the bush, right? Just put them in a bag, and you can deal with them, and maybe a couple of roots or something, right? Just something fast. Just throw it in a bag and throw the box into the mail, and you can try and plant them, whether by seed or whether by root, right? Don't forget, you need a male and a female, so it's hard to say what you're gonna get when you pulling out roots and shit, but just the point is I need to get your box out in the mail. So I'm using 1/2 pint jar of jelly, blackberry jelly, as the excuse to get up on it. And that keeps me motivated to make that jelly, because, you know, I'm kind of worn out and I don't really want to. But on the other hand, blackberry jelly is so good. Okay, so I know it doesn't look like much because they're small and they have blemishes on them, right? Obviously, some of them are going to be going into compost, which I'm happy with, right? Like this one here is perfectly fine. This is what I canned in 2014 because I had all these apples and I didn't know what to do with them. And because they're so small, right, in terms of doing them whole, it was the recipe that I read, like when I was reading up on it, in terms of arsenic in the apple seed, you know, right, it was fine in terms of you weren't going to poison yourself with arsenic, right, because you canned that in a jar, with a bunch of other apples like that with a few apple seeds. You need a lot of apple seeds in order to, like this one. Look how nice this is. And they're nice and firm. So this is why I'm washing them now. Look at this one. This is beautiful. Look at this little apple. Right? Obviously it fell, so it has a bruise on it. Okay? But if I get them in the fridge, you know, like, I'm going to decide what I'm going to do. Hold on. Okay, so then, right, I had them in here. I was running the water, was rinsing them off. There's already a spider in there. Right? And put them in the other half of your sink or bowl of water or whatever. You can either use a little bit of dish soap and then rinse them off. Or in this case, I'm using a little bit of vinegar. Okay? And you just rinse them off. You have to wash them, right? You know? Now, because there's so many of them, and I know how this tree works, I've decided that over the course of between now and tonight, half of these apples I am going to cut whatever and then get my steamers out. I'm gonna more pots, people. I'm going to get one of my steamers out. And I'll take off, like, just say, for example, like this one here. And my hair's in there. Like, for example, this one. Now, the apple itself is perfectly fine, but it's been bruised, maybe pecked at. So, in this case, you can cut it in half, take out that core. Apple peel and pulp all together can go into the steamer, and you can steam it and get juice. And because I'm telling you, this is an organic apple that has not been sprayed or ozoned or oxidized or irradiated or whatever people try to do these days to, you know, mass produce apples. I'm not trying to mass produce, but anyway, right, when you cook up this skin, you're not going to get that plastic taste or waxy taste or any kind of taste that comes from manufactured foods. Okay? And then after that, we'll see what happens. After I steam them, we'll see what I get. Maybe I can take out the pulp, right, and use the pulp for something else. Or, I don't know. All I know is I think I should get on with making juice. Okay, so start washing, sorting them out. These ones are going in the fridge after they're dry. You don't want them in like that because they'll sweat. Water spreads, right? Molds and whatever, so just let them air dry. So I'm going to wash everything, and as I go, what I don't want to put in the fridge right away, I'm going to process and start cooking. Okay? I'm making juice first. That's the first thing on the list, right? And then we'll see what the byproduct is. Because these little apples that are in my sink, I mean, obviously I'll take off the bad part in terms of the skin, the blemishes, but some of the peel will just be seeped into the juice, right? I found some more of my bread pans. Aren't those ones nice? Look at those. Ah, those are nice. Right? Got more than that. Oh my. There's that YouTube moment, right? Okay, people, this is what we're serving in this bowl. And then we've got this stuff in this bowl. Isn't that just a lovely bowl? Ooh, look at that bowl. That's even nicer. Oh, it's a matching set. Isn't that amazing? Look at them. Oh, wow, there's a nice little bowl there, too. And look at that. Okay, and then yesterday, you know, I was out and about, right? Local store, right? You know, support my local corner store. They found their little niche now. Now they're selling plants. And guess what I bought? I bought a little tomato plant that's going in the greenhouse very, very soon, probably today, right? For $6. $6, people. $6. Anyway, you only put, I like steaming them. Okay, so you put about an inch of water to start, and then you line your steamer trays, right, with cheesecloth. Okay. Anything else I'm missing here? Hold on. Okay, and you know, I mean, it's pretty rudimentary, But you can reuse cheesecloth over and over and over again. The only thing that's going to happen to it is it's going to get a little more porous, like fibrous, in terms of, like, you can see it spreading out, right? In terms of the holes are bigger, but you can double up, right? So, you know, you just wash them, air dry them. I mean, obviously, did blackberries with those ones, right? Look what else I found. Okay, so I'm kind of just standing here doing this, right? I got YouTube on, right? And Doug Ford is talking. I was looking at one of his videos, I guess it was yesterday. And it was yesterday or the day before. He was at some sort of processing plant. I can't remember what the name of it is right now. And what they do is they ozone food. Right now they're disinfecting these masks, right? But their main purpose is to take big vats, you know, big crates full of apples that come from the fields, and versus washing them to clean them, right? To try and prevent the spread of bacteria and that kind of stuff. They run it through this process where it gets gassed with ozone. They say it's a natural, they're using natural elements, right, in terms of, we all get through this together. So anyway, I'm going to get to the point here, okay? This gas is extremely dangerous. It has to be monitored very closely. And it has the ability to penetrate through a big crate of apples. So they fill up these big crates, and then they run it through this machine that gasses them with some sort of ozone gas, right? And then that gas, it penetrates through the pile of apples, I guess right to the center of it. That's how strong it is. And it can also permeate past the skin. And what it does is it disinfects everything in terms of pathogens like listeria, botulism, E. coli, those types of salmonella, those types of things, right? Versus where if they wash the apples like I'm washing, right? And then, you know, through transport and everything else that goes on, you know, there's a higher probability that, you know, a batch of apples could be infected with E. coli, for example, because maybe they weren't dried enough in between that washing process. And so therefore, that's why they recommend doing this gassing, right? And they say, you know, it's good because they're using natural elements, even though one of those natural elements is extremely dangerous. And not only does it kill everything on the outside of the peel of the vegetable or fruit, it also kills in the middle, like it permeates, it goes past the skin. So, you know, so you have to ask yourself, you know, how nutritious that apple really is, right? Compared to the old school way, like I'm doing, you know. So, but the thing is, with the coronavirus, right? You know, well, I don't even call them politicians anymore, people, because some of these things are not people. They're not, and I'm not afraid to say it. Okay, there's something wrong with their eyes, right? Lots of people are starting to acknowledge it. They're starting to talk about it, right? They're doing videos on it. I'm not the only one. Okay, there's something else going on. Okay, and with that going on business, what they're doing is they're partnering up with their business of choice in terms of, well, this company is certified because we approve the way they disinfect apples, right? And as they've got everybody scared, running scared in society, to eat, to walk, to sleep, to breathe, to talk, to anything, right? You know, they're going to tell you that you can't eat this apple versus this apple that they sold you because it was ozoned, gassed, right? You're only going to be allowed to eat this one. The people who manufacture apples like this will be the only people who will be able to sell apples, right? Because the government is corrupt. They're partnering up with select businesses that they want to support as they kill off everybody else and their businesses. And they will force you to eat only one thing that is legal to buy. Fresh, wild apples with little blemishes will be banned. And that is why they're cutting down all the trees, people. Right? Because the people that are running the food, they don't want you getting free food. Right? That's easy to cut off. And because young people, you know, they're spoiled, you know, they're like, you're just wasting your time. Why you do that? You're crazy. Right? You putting it in a jar and for what? You know? You're working for what? What, you know, you just go to the store and go buy yourself a, what is it? Is it irradiated? Is it gassed? Right? What did they do to it? Is it waxed? You can't make apple peel anything with store-bought apples that have been processed. Even if you scrub the crap off of it and you try and make apple peel syrup, the liquid after you boil your apple peels are going to come out tasting like wax. Not these ones, people. Not these ones. And that's why I tell myself, well, it's only once a year. You know, I'm very, very grateful for all the criticism that I get for doing this kind of stuff, because I get it, people. Okay? You know, no real appreciation for it, that's for sure. From the younger generation, that is. The young women that seem to think that they know everything. Right? But don't put their effort where their mouth is. You know? And I'm not talking about, per se, that one that's trolling me. I'm just talking about young people in general. You know, they lost their way. They really have. And, so anyway. I just wanted to say that the government is partnering up. That's why I turned on the camera. The government is partnering up with their accredited businesses that they will support fully, right, to promote their agenda, which will be to take complete control of the food supply, right, in terms of if it hasn't been irradiated or hasn't been gassed with ozone, then you don't get it, right? And that's why they're bankrupting hundreds of thousands of businesses right now. Small businesses, that is. Small businesses. They're bankrupting hundreds of thousands of small businesses. Whether it's the local produce. See, I wouldn't throw that in there, but it would be great for the compost. Right? Whether it's for the local produce stores that sell local vegetables and that type of thing, they're shutting down, people. Some of them are shutting down. I got these really nice styrofoam containers. I'll show you later. Right? It was a little Chinese woman. She had her own little shop. She had to shut it down. Right? She didn't want to shut down her business, but she didn't have a choice because of the shit that's going on right now. Well, it's like that all over the place. And it's going to get worse because now they're, I guess, government payments for unemployment and that type of thing, and rental subsidies and blah, blah, blah are all running out, especially in the United States. So if things don't turn around like real freaking fast, it's going to get ugly, real freaking ugly, as the government is making backroom deals, government to government to government, because it's been infiltrated by a bunch of fucking things that are trying to take complete control of the human race, right? They're going to bring in their orders. They're not even laws, but they're going to bring in their orders that you can't get food anywhere unless it's from their distribute. I'm tired. Distribution center. That's the only place you're going to be able to buy apples after it's been ozoned or gassed or irradiated or whatever. As more and more businesses go out of debt or go out of business, right? It's called a conglomerate, a monopoly. That's what's happening. So, just to show you, now most people would go, ew, ew. Well, if you had any brains about yourself, you would know that it's called take a knife, peel the apple, right? The parts that are bad. It's pretty straightforward. It's very rudimentary, right? And then take off any bruising because the apple fell off the tree. And look what you get underneath. And it hasn't been ozoned. Because that ozone, that gas ozone, they're permeating through whole vats, crates full of apples. So that gas is going deeper and deeper and deeper into the crate, and it's just sitting there and permeating into your apple peels, into the surface of the flesh itself. And nobody can tell me that that's good for them because they killed off all the germs to protect the public. No, they're not trying to protect the public, people. If they were trying to protect the public, they wouldn't be shutting down hundreds of thousands of small businesses and destroying tens of millions of people's lives. As they sit up there and bold-faced lie on the internet with their holograms or whatever it is that they've got up there representing a so-called democracy in terms of like a government, right? An elected government. These people elected themselves to bring in their own manufacturing, food processing plants, right? And if they're not accredited, they're out of business, right? If they promote natural little apples that nobody wants, right? They're out of business, right? Because they'll just simply cut down the tree, build in housing that nobody can afford, fill them up with a bunch of immigrants that are happy to get the hell out of their country and will do anything by any means necessary to stay in this country, even if it means killing their neighbor. They will do it, right? Because they get rewarded for it, right? That's what happens. But sooner or later, that well is going to dry up. And as they're sitting in all their buildings, they're going to end up like Beirut, where all of a sudden it's just going to go boom, right? Because people are dumb, you know? They want to sit up there and talk about me. Well, at least at the end of the day, in a month from now, I'll have lots and lots of apple juice. I'll have apple slices for apple pie. I'll probably have apple leather for Andre, right? And maybe some applesauce. And obviously apple butter, right? I mean, who wouldn't be happy? And none of it is irradiated, bleached, ozoned, nothing. It's called good old elbow grease and water. God, I'm listening to this Doug Ford. They're building all these old folks' homes. right? Only for the ones that can afford to pay for it, people, for the most part. The ones that don't have money, like pension plans and that type of thing, they're out in the streets. And then they die, and the coroner comes along and says it was a suicide or an accident because they were depressed. Yeah. But the ones with the money, like Uncle John, they scoop them up like the hot commodity that they are, right? You know, I'm listening. And they're fast-tracking everything, right? Because they're going to start building more care homes. Just listening as I'm doing this, trying not to get mad, right? I mean, it's pretty apparent that it's see? Coming along. So, you see? It's all done, right? First batch. Hold on. Okay, so what's happening now is I'm going to start steaming it, right? Bring it to a boil and then turn it down and just steam it. I like to switch the trays around, right, as it's cooking to make sure everything gets through. And because it's in cheesecloth, wrap it up and then, you know, let the juice drip out, blah, 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 right? After the fact, with those apple peels, with the pulp, I don't know what's going to happen, but it would be nice if I could do some kind of fruit leather with them. It's hard to say. I have to wait and see, right? So, as soon as this is done cooking, I am going back to the apple tree, because that's what you have to do, otherwise you get backlogged, right? And I still have one big bag, and I have a little box over there with some in it, right? And I've already done one big bag. So when I get back, right, I'm going to pick some blackberries, right, lay them on there, and I'm going to rinse them off. And then I'm air dry, and I'm going to put those ones in the freezer, and then eventually I'm going to vacuum seal those ones. And by the time I'm done that, over the next couple, 2, 3, 4 days, there will be new blackberries, which that's when I would probably try and do the blackberry jelly, right? You have to kind of like balance it out. It's like a juggling act, right? You gotta, you know. So, and then these ones here, I don't know if I already showed you, but like these ones here are in a little better shape. So I've already washed them, right? I'm just going with the small ones right now, you know. But these ones are like in pretty good shape, so I've washed them, and now I'm just letting them air dry, and then I'm going to put them in Auntie ShaMay's fridge as I continue to deal with this apple situation, right? Because they'll sit in the fridge nicely for quite a while, as long as they're cold and they're clean. Oh yeah. And then that's when I'll come back when I have more time, and then maybe, you know, I'll slice these ones, dip them in lemon juice, let them air dry a little bit or whatever, or pat dry or whatever, and then vacuum seal, and then those ones will go in the freezer, right? You know, because as the apples come, this will happen now almost every day. So what's going to happen is, as the juice accumulates, you know, you get your big pot like that one down there. Do you see? They're tall, right? And then you just start pouring your juice and put it in the fridge. And then when you have a full pot, right, that's when you pull out your jars, right, disinfect them, and, still recording? Yeah. Disinfect them, and then, you know, do your juice at 190, right? Okay. Okay, so this is number 2. Sink number 2. So you take out the nicer ones, right, that aren't, like, too bruised, cut open, whatever, wash them, get them in the fridge right away, and then, of course, you know, like this one here is perfect, nothing wrong with it. It will sit in the fridge for a good week or so, right, as long as it's cold. And Auntie ShaMay's fridge is really, really good. And, you know, process the small ones as soon as the ones that are on the stove cooking, Then I am going to go get some more. Okay, so do you see what's happening here? These ones are almost dry, right? So that's the way you want them in the fridge. Preferably clean, okay? Because, right? And then these ones I just washed that was in the sink, the second batch, right? And then the smaller ones are in the sink because we're going to do this again. But look what I got there, people. Oh, my Lord. And as soon as I wash up these ones, Andre and I, we're going back to the tree because you have to go almost every day, right? On Amari's with Tisha right now. So, but you have to go every day because they're dropping every day now, right? And then when the big winds come, boy, oh boy. And as time goes by over the next couple of weeks, these apples, they just get bigger and bigger, right? But these are really good right now. So, yeah, so I'm going to go wash those ones, do like this, get them ready, right? And then in a couple of hours, these will be ready to go in the fridge. Those ones will be ready to go in the fridge. You can see how it's already piling up. What I'll be doing with these ones, because they're bigger, I'm going to, like I said, vacuum seal some of them, right? I'm not going to make pie. Last time I did this, what did I do? I made a whole bunch of pies with my son. And we put them in the freezer. Remember that video, if you've been watching my videos? Well, what did he do? He ate all the pies. He ate them all, people. So, this time around, not like I got time or space to be making 25 pies, but this time around, I'm just going to vacuum seal apple slices and get them ready for pie or apple crisp or whatever it may be, right? Because, you know, like this is going to go on now for a couple, 2-3 weeks anyway, people. So, I mean, that's, you're going to get apple video after apple video after apple video. If you don't want to watch my apple videos, you don't have to watch my apple videos. That's all good, right? Okay, so as you can see, right? So I'm just drying them off. Not this one because I'm going to stay out. Put them in the fridge. Because we just came back with a whole bunch more, Andre and I. They're just waiting so patiently. They're over there playing. That's what they do. They play in my yard. Like children. Right? Okay, Matilda, we're coming to give you some water. Come on. She's alright.
She doesn't want to get wet. She doesn't want to get wet. And it's still playing.
Yeah. We're going to need more than that. You want to get me that bread, too? Because they're going to need...
Bread?
Oh, Matilda. Matilda. What are we going to do with you? You're like a little dog. Aren't you? I know, baby. Yeah, you're thirsty, huh? Yeah, you're a good girl. You're a good girl. I don't got meat. No, I don't got... That's just a camera. Calm down. Calm down. See, what do you got in your hand? And she's asking me, what do I got in my hand? Let me just water these first. Put some in this bowl. In here. Put the bread in there.
Oh, you want me to give you some right there? Okay.
That's not what she wants.
She does.
Well, she'll eat it, but that's not really what she wants. Okay, hurry up.
She just wants to catch it.
Yep.
Babies are just over there.
Yep.
Waiting.
Yep.
Being patient.
Yep. What you doing, Matilda?
A baby's just right there.
Yeah.
Sneaker.
Hey, Sneaker. Okay, hurry up.
Look how close Matilda's getting.
Mm-hmm.
It says Matilda getting close.
Yeah, she's right behind you.
Oh my.
And she touches my feet now. Yeah.
Is that enough?
Oh, well, no. You give it to them and go get more. Just put it in there and go get some more because there's too many of them. Not enough. I have to buy some more.
She's coming for it.
Yeah, I know. Hurry up. Go get some more. I'm going to move. You're fine, Matilda. Good girl. You're a good girl. Yeah. I'm trying to teach her hand signal now. Yeah. Okay, am I trying to teach you hand signals now? Uh-oh, here comes the baby.
What now?
Just my foot. Okay, she's fine. She knows. She gets all weirded out. There you go. Alright, we're not going to stress you out.
Oh, the bread.
You'll find it.
No, right there.
Oh.
Should have never brought out the bag.
Just get the bread. She's fine. She'll stay away.
Girl.
We're going to teach her hand signals.
What's hand signals?
Stop, go, stay, that kind of stuff.
Like this? Stop.
Yep. Good girl. Good girl. Okay.
Oh.
What?
Right there. Oh, it was in the tree.
In the tree? Oh, over there. There it is. And this one's coming around.
See?
There's this one. Oh, that's classic. This is so classic.
What's
He's
classic?
digging around in my planter pots. Okay, they're hungry. Let's go. Come on, we won't let them eat.
Let them eat?
Yeah, I'll clean this up tomorrow. I'm outside tomorrow. Early in the morning. Okay,
Hey,
here, take the camera. I have to, just hold on. I have to go to the greenhouse. Okay, I don't know what happened here, but it's all wound up. Okay, I'm getting mad. Hold on. Yeah. Every day. Right, Matilda? Every day.
I actually saw her yesterday.
Mm-hmm. Every day. They live in my hen house. Yeah.
They went over there.
But I'm going to see if I can build them their own little house back here as time goes by. Right? It's just those apples fell. That's what's happening right now. I'm doing apples. Right. And they like this. I'm climbing all over this. Right.
Do you have anything growing in there?
In the greenhouse? Yeah, I got lots of tomatoes now.
Oh my.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll get some by the end of the year. Yeah. Okay, so now it's going on 11:30 at night. Double shift. I got blackberries, 4 small trays in the freezer, and I'm going to cook up these ones as I'm peeling a batch of those little apples right now, and I'm going to cook them up before I go to sleep. Hold on. Okay, so I'm going to turn this camera on. Just wanted to make sure there's enough time it won't get kicked out. I cooked up that first batch, and because these little apples are very, very tart, right? Like I said, that tree was grafted with 3 different types of apples. So anyway, what I'm dealing with right now is not unusual. Every year, this tree drops these little apples. Right? So, I found that that last little batch that I made, first of all, I put too much water in, but that's okay. But because of the apple being so small, and kind of, I guess you could say, immature. The juice was tart, and that's in part because of the peel. So I'm taking off the peel because if I want apple peel syrup, then in that case I would wait for a couple of more weeks when the bigger apples start to fall, because then those apples are sweeter and that sweetness goes into the actual apple peel itself, where these ones are somewhat more sour and tart. So of course the peel is going to be the same way. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing, right? And after I'm done cooking this, I'm just going to take this juice and put it into the pot with the other juice until I get enough juice, because I'll probably do this one more time anyway, 1 or 2 more times. And then once I've got that, then that's when I'll sweeten what I have with sugar, right? And then I'll can that, okay? And then as I'm going about that, apples are dropping every day. Andre and I, we went today. I got 3 more bags, right? And I've got 2 big bins, like bowls, right, big ones, in Auntie ShaMay's fridge right now with the bigger apples, right, those kind, right, which won't be as tart as these ones, right? I'm just trying to work as fast as I can without wasting anything. I even picked up the apples that were no good and brought them home and threw them into my compost pile. So all these lovely little apple peels will go into my compost, which at the end of the day just adds nutrients to the dirt that's being made. Right? So either or, I win. I just have to tell myself it only comes once a year. Right? It's a gift from heaven. You know, I don't preach religion, people. I really don't. I never really have. I never pushed it on my kids. My grandmother pushed it on me when I was a little kid. She used to take me to the Royal Jubilee Hospital in Victoria. And in that hospital was a Jesus, right, on a cross, you know. And this thing was like, oh, I don't know, 40 feet tall. It was humongous. It was in a hospital as soon as you went in. It was one of those old buildings. And she used to always tell me, fear God, fear him, fear him. Right? Oh my God. I feared him so much, people, that I never pushed that fear on my kids. Okay? And if you notice through my videos, I don't push religion. Right? I try and respect people's beliefs. You know, it's not that I don't believe in a God, because I do. Right? It's not that I don't believe in heaven, because I do. I've been there already. My grandmother took me there. Right? My uncles said goodbye. Go into my videos, you'll hear that. Okay? But it's not something that I push. But when you get a whole apple tree, like a whole fully mature apple tree that pops out 3 different kinds of apples that nobody wants, then, you know, when you're in my kind of position, you know, it's a gift from God. It really is, people. Like, you know, it's a good quality time that I spend with Andre. And now, you know, I take Amari with me in a stroller. So we go for our little daily walks, because we have to pick them up every day. Right? Because I have to either do something with them or get them in the fridge ASAP after I wash them. Right? So for the next 3 weeks, this is basically what I'm going to be doing. Now, if the walnut trees were out there, I'd be swamped with walnuts, because the walnuts, well, they don't really start falling until September, October, right when the big winds come, but they'd be starting to fall now, right? So you go into my old videos and you'll see me working hard with between apples and black walnut and English walnut and all gifts from God, right? I have lots and lots of walnuts. I have tons beautiful, really, really juicy English walnut in my freezer. right along with black walnut in my freezer in vacuum seal bags. And you just see me make cake with that black walnut. And I'll tell you, there's nothing like black walnut. Okay? And it took me 50 years to come across that tree. And then these property developers out here that don't even live in this country, they come from China and places like that, they just rip down these trees like it's nothing to them. Because they're taking away the food source, people. That's what's happening. Right? They're working in partnership with these crooked politicians, these crooked holograms, right? The politicians, they've been tucked off someplace. They've been replaced with something else. They're not who they say they are, okay? They're operating on a whole different freaking dimension. I will prove that one way or another. People don't want to talk about it. They're afraid. You know, they don't want to sound like they're crazy. Or, you know, they don't want to believe it, right? Or just they're afraid to talk about it. You know, in the context of acknowledging that nothing is new under the sun, right? And most religions will tell you that, whether it's Christian, Catholic, whatever, right? Nothing is new under the sun. So don't assume that we're the only ones in terms of human beings that have any sense of intelligence where we can create things, because it's that's not true. We're not the only ones, okay? And right now it's a call with the population to bring in a new breed, okay? Because humans are the new food source, right? That's why they're taking away food, because they're starving us. They're going to be starving us out, right? And not all of us, obviously. There's going to be sellouts in there, right? And thinking that they're safe, right? That they're not going to be, you know, alien food, right? And they're psychologically reprogramming us to wait our turn to end up on the assembly line, people. That's how I feel. You don't have all these bad things happen to your family, just randomly happen. It has nothing to do with bad luck, right? It has nothing to do with being a bad person, because I'm not a bad person, people. Okay? And it has everything to do with being vulnerable, manufactured poverty, having to live with that for years and years and years and years. The only thing is they've ramped it up now. They've ramped up that manufactured poverty to encompass millions of more people into that web of deceit and destruction, right? And because our news media is so in bed with the very people that, well, you see, I don't even want to call them people anymore, right? I'm seeing for myself that we're not dealing with normal human beings. So I'm not going to stand here, sit here, whatever, and lie to you. Now, whether you want to keep your head in the sand thinking it's never going to come your way, well, that's fine. You can do that, but, you know, they're not satisfied with just a few. They're going for the many now, okay? That's why they're separating us, right? That's why they're making it so that you can't see how your loved ones are being treated, because they're doing something else with those bodies, right? That's where anti-ShaMay shows the way. Even Uncle John, right? If they're not going for the money, they're going for the bodies, because they're doing something with the bodies, and that's why people can't witness their loved ones dying anymore, right? They don't want people out there like me speaking out, all right? And if they're speaking out, they can't, they don't have the documentation because they weren't there to actually witness it. Because Doctor Who, you know who, ordered it, right? Because of an agenda that, yes, is political, but it's more than that, people. Okay? It's more than just a political agenda. Like, if I was to tell you what I really thought in terms of we're dealing with body snatchers, okay? They don't want just the money. They want our bodies, okay? Right? And, of course, they're not going to take everybody's body right away because they don't need all these bodies at one time. What they need, though, is a surplus of bodies to pick and choose from, which they've been doing for a very long time anyway. Hospitals are not safe. Don't underestimate what goes on in them. My grandmother, back in the day, she was a chambermaid, right? In the hospital. That's why she took me to the hospital, you know, when I was little. When she had me. She had me for a little while, right? When I was like 5 and 6. When I came to her, all I could do was speak German. I knew nothing, no English, absolutely none. So she taught me English, and she used to take me to work sometimes, and that's how I seen Jesus on the cross. And he was like 40 feet big, and she, you know, and there was a little girl, right? And she'd say, you know, you have to fear God. You have to fear God. She put so much fear into me, people, that I wouldn't say that I shied away from him, or that being. I just didn't become a zealot with it, right? But she warned me, because she, you know what? I think about it, and I'm like, what was she trying to tell me when she would say, Judy, just keep to yourself. Don't have too many friends. You know, just mind your own. Don't get involved with things. None of that crap. But, of course, I didn't take her advice. I started a non-profit and put myself out in the line of fire when it came to public speaking, park events, you know, DJ equipment, and doing things with kids, and, you know, keep promoting that, oh, well, universal school meal program, and all it did was set me up to be targeted even more because, as I said, the government is not interested in a universal school meal program other than they're interested in securing a meal program for themselves in terms of they want those bodies. Okay? That's how I feel, people. I have every right to feel that way. Right? That's why I filed that lawsuit, which is why I'm doing this right now. Because obviously I'm swamped. You can see that. Right? I'm always under pressure. You know, living on the edge all the time. And working hard, so hard that it's amazing my body doesn't fall apart. Seriously. Okay? And so, but I'm going to have to make it to the courthouse. I have to serve the government. I have to. I can't. I've been asking around for a lawyer for a long time. And I just can't. I'm not afraid to die, people. I'm not afraid to stand up to these, oh, I so want to say things. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid to stand up to these things, people. I'm not. I'm not. Because if I don't stand up to them, my grandchildren will never have a chance. Because their parents don't even have a chance. Right? 2 of them are already dead because of the public union sector. Directly because of the public union sector. Through their negligence in terms of, you know, covering up murder, allowing a dangerous substance to flood the province of British Columbia, Canada, as an scapegoat to their negligence in terms of, well, it was a suicide. Oh no, sorry, they killed themselves by accident with fentanyl. But now that their body is available, well, we're going to do what we want with it, right? And you don't get to say shit about it. No, because we're the boss. We're the professionals. And it's all old news. All old news, people. So I figure I'm going to have to go and just, Because we're coming into another lockdown. Because I'm a small voice in a sea of bullshit. Okay? It's going to take forever for my voice to get out there, if it ever does, to affect change of any kind. Right? And so I need to go and file this lawsuit. Like, I filed it. It's been filed. Right? I have a year to serve the government. Only reason I haven't served them yet, people, is because, one, I don't really know how to serve the Attorney General and the Solicitor General. I don't. You know. I don't know where to send it. Right? But I'm going to go to the courthouse and I'm going to find out. And I'm just going to serve them, people. I'm just going to serve them. I'm going to serve them before the next fucking lockdown comes in. Because it's coming. Okay? And it's not going to be as kind and, you know, gracious and as long as we get along like the first time around. No, it's not going to be like that. It's going to be worse because people are already starting to snap. Right? And, you know, these things talk with forked tongue. You know, just be kind. But understand that we're coming in with WorkSafe BC and Pod 2 with that medical staff and Pod 3 with that medical staff and Pod 4 with that medical staff. So we're going to get you to comply. Right? So that they can come in and take what bodies that they want when they want them. Okay? Whether they're fucking putting those bodies on themselves as a bodysuit, I'm sure some people have heard about that. Or whether they're fucking eating them for fucking dinner, who knows? They're doing something with them. Okay? Alright? Because this isn't, I mean, it's almost like we're dead. For the ones that are alive, living this nightmare, right? You think, am I dead? Am I in hell? Is this what hell is like, right? Like, when did I die and I just didn't notice that I died? You know, I wake up one day and everything is like fucking hell. Like, where did it come from? Well, it came from an agenda that was started a long time ago by some other kind of entity, whatever that entity may be. And they've been breeding for so long that now there's too many of them. And they're overtaking. It's like an invasion. It's like an invasion, people. Apparently, there's this organization, like a military organization, you know, that does science experiments, splicing and dicing of DNA and all this crap, where they're building in super soldiers, right? With, you know, new and approved DNA and being merged with machines. And I think we're here now, people. I think we're at that point. I think that's why our police force is so corrupt. Because I don't think all of them are legitimate in terms of being human beings any more than these so-called representatives of the general public who call themselves elected politicians. Right? And people are, like, you know, fighting back as best as they can with the knowledge of exposing what we're dealing with. You know, obviously how I do it is pretty rudimentary, you know, because I don't have a lot of equipment, you know. My brain is already overworked, so it's not like I can sit there and study new programs, and I just try and show what I can show, and, you know, and then back up what I'm saying, right? It's easy to back up that the government's been lying to us, coming out with their fake pre-recorded live streams with fake statistics, that confirms to me that they're murdering people. This is what I mean by fighting back. This is why I have to go to the courthouse, figure out how the hell to serve, right, the Attorney General and get this process going. And if they want to fucking throw it out, then I will just file another one with Ciera. That's what will happen, people. So, you know, I'm living on a very short tightrope because I'm a threat to these things, right? Because I'm not afraid of them, okay? They're evil. They're corrupt. They're not normal, right? Normal human beings don't do this to millions of people, right? And gloat as they do it. Dick's no name, right? I'm man. I'm a man. Yeah, okay, man my ass. More like fucking something came out of a petri dish. Right? Serious. You can't be afraid to stand up and say something, people. Okay? Because if you think they're not going to come for you, just wait. Okay? 40 years to live, and then to be blindsided when you least expect it, you know, will come soon enough. That's like death. You don't wish for death, because if you wish for death, it will come. Sooner or later, it's going to come. So you don't need to wish for it, because it's coming. Okay? Right? Why speed up something when you already know it's on its way? You know? So don't ever wish for death. But if you think you're safe from these things, unless you're one of them, don't ever think you're safe, because you're not. And that's the thing. That's why they're doing what they're doing. Because they're taking the bodies, people, as they accumulate great wealth for themselves so that they can have access to all the resources, right? The tax dollars, the facilities, the hospitals, the police force, right? The education system, just the whole 9 yards, right? That's why they get away with it, because they're in control of the resources. Only these are not normal human beings. They're not doing it because they have ethics or morality. They're doing it because they're trying to bring in another species that's basically using us as food. And that's how I feel. ShaMay was food to somebody. Whether they put her teeth in their mouth because they didn't have teeth and they needed to put that false persona out there that they were human, or whether they put on her fucking body after they stretched the shit out of it, okay? Because they stretched the shit out of it, people, and they had her on display. Anybody could walk into that room and look at her body and make bids on that body. Okay, do you hear what I'm saying? They were making bids on that body. Okay, I don't believe that my daughter's ashes are in that freaking urn any more than I believe Ciera's body is in that freaking tomb that they put her in with their freaking city workers saying, don't touch the casket because you might contaminate it with COVID. Don't touch the dirt because you might contaminate it with COVID. Yeah, the only people who are contaminating anything are those things. And that's how I feel. And that's the first part of fighting back. You have to be honest about how you see things and how you feel. And it's not like I don't have the proof to back up, well, I'd say the majority, if not all, of everything that I say. It's just, will I get the opportunity in a court of law with an unbiased judge, without a lawyer, to show that before I die? Or another bad thing happens in terms of another family member being picked off so that I get derailed from holding my government to account. Okay? Because that's the direction humanity is going in. And they need to wake up and smell the coffee for what it really is. Instead of having their heads buried in the sand, making excuses for things that have absolutely no love for us as humans. Okay? How can a hologram love you? Okay? These things are only so many things. They're either holograms, and that's why they're glitching out all the time with their funky eyes. Right? Or they've been implanted with something that's overtaken their brain and rewired it, and they're slaves to this situation themselves, and they didn't have a choice. It was either take the implant or we're snuffing you out. They chose to take the implant, and now they're stuck with their lot, and they have to play the devil's hand. Some people just simply call them the devil, right? They're devils. I don't know. I don't know about that. Okay? All I know is they're not normal. It's plain to fucking see. Right? And as I go about my days, I'll put up a little video here and a little video there. You don't have to watch them if you don't want to watch them. But you're going to see for yourself, sooner or later, what other people are seeing. Because other people have already seen it before me. And they do a better job at exposing it. And this is what I mean. You have to fight back, not be afraid to say it. You have to not be afraid to say what it is that you think in terms of what we're fighting up against. Okay? So, anyway, I'm going to have to go sometime very soon. I don't know when. Right? To the courthouse. Figure out how I can serve my government. And then wait for their response and see what they have to say. Right? And deal with it. And deal with it without a lawyer. I'm not going to be afraid, people. Nope, I'm not. These are evil things that we're dealing with. And they're entrenched deep into the public union sector. And I think for some of the public union sector that aren't like them yet, right? I think they're scared. Yeah, I do. I think they're scared, and they're feeling like everybody else. They don't know how to fight their own employer, right? Because if you become a whistleblower, what happens? Chances are you'll end up dead. And they don't want to die. They don't want their kids to have to face this bullshit, right? By themselves. But the only thing is, they need to ask themselves, who brings children into this world? Children, real children. Like babies, you know, human beings, real fucking babies, right? So that they become alien meat for a foreign species that needs to be kicked off the planet. You see, crooked doctors that go around stealing other people's body parts and their organs and their ovaries and their teeth and their eggs and everything else that they're stealing, they don't have to do little things like this in order to live in a rich country. They just have to come over here, make a pact with the devil, and they're good to go, right? Won't be long before they're set up in their nice big monster home, right? Being the king on the hill, right? Where everybody is, yes sir, such a good man, yes sir, yeah, good man my ass, yeah. See, that's another thing I'm not afraid of. I'm going to expose some of these doctors for what they really are. Right? In terms of, I'm not going to stay quiet about what happened to ShaMay's body. right? But you see, there's a deeper agenda in there other than just taking out a heart and putting it into somebody else's body, okay? They're doing more than just that, people. Okay, whether they're doing science experiments with their transhuman agenda, or whether they're taking out ShaMay's womb and implanting it into a gay person that can't have kids but wants one, right? You know, they're just doing stupid shit like that. Or whether they had her on display, stretched out her body to the point where whatever wanted to move in was nice and comfy and cozy. You know what I'm saying? Right? No. These things, they've taken it to a whole new level, right? I'm only the storyteller, people. You know, I'm not a ghostwriter. I don't write the story. I just tell the story as it unfolds. And, you know, I just so happen to have a family that pays a very huge price for the corruption of a foreign entity that brings in foreigners, whether they're like them or just corrupt human beings, to do the bidding of the devil's work. So I guess my grandmother was right. Although I could never figure out why I should fear the Lord. If you know, I just, when I was little, looking up at that Jesus on that cross, I suppose I was scared because she told me I needed to be fearful, right? She didn't really tell me why. She just said, fear the Lord, fear the Lord. She put so much fear in me, people. Like I said, I never pushed it on my kids. I never became a religious zealot, right? But, you know, I don't fear the Lord, people. I don't. I never have. I never chose to fear the Lord. Right? I didn't think it was the right thing to do in terms of being afraid of something that was supposed to be good for you. Right? And that's why I never forced it on my kids. And obviously, I'm blessed. Andre was saying, how come nobody wants those apples, Nana? And I'm like, one, because they're too lazy to do anything with them. Most people are just lazy. They'll sit there and they'll criticize you for doing a teeny weeny little apple because you might be wasting your time. Right? When you can go to the store and spend $7 and get yourself a bag of organic apples that will last you 2 days if you have a family, versus doing it this way that will last you well over a year for that same family. It just takes time, that's all. You know, God gives you things, but it doesn't have to be with a big bow all ready to go. Sometimes you have to work for things. You know, I have to work for it. I have to make my juice in order to have juice. I could have left those apples sitting in the ditch rotting away, right? Like everybody else, just keep on walking. But the thing is, for the ones out here harvesting innocent lives, you know, harvesting their organs and other body parts and that type of thing, of course they're not going to care about stuff like this. They don't need to, right? And that's assuming that they even eat people food, right? No, seriously. That's assuming that they even eat people food. Okay? Because it takes a pretty wicked thing to be doing what's going on in the world right now. So how God falls all into that, with that fear God, I don't know. All I know is I got blessed. So, as you can see, so what's going to happen now is I'm going to cook these up, and then as they're cooking, I'm going to wash my other 3 bags and just let them air dry. And then tomorrow, I'm going to take larger apples instead of small ones, right? I'm going to take larger apples, and I'm going to do a batch of those, and then I'm going to take that juice and mix it in with this juice and the other juice, and that will help to balance it out. And then after this has all been juiced with the pulp, I'm going to take this pulp and I'm going to try and de-seed the blackberry and take that pulp, and I'm going to combine the blackberry with the apple pulp, and I'm going to put sugar in it, and maybe, you know, I'll just maybe, I'm thinking maybe a tad bit of lemon, but definitely some sugar, and I'm going to try and make fruit leather, right, versus, I don't need apple butter, okay, but I'm going to try and do something with fruit leather. Okay, so I don't know how long this video is, so I'm going to end it here. It's like 1 o'clock in the morning, people, and I'm boiling apples. Like, what the heck? Oh. Anyway, I want to finish this one little batch anyway, right? So I'm just going to cook it up, steam it. This is a steamer, right? You can see what a sink full got me of those little teeny weeny apples. So this is perfectly fine. They're tart, right? You can taste the tartness in them. Not quite fully ripe, but in terms of like a small apple that didn't really get a chance to grow. But that piece there isn't so bad. Okay, so as you can see, full sink, right? And then a little bit here. And as you can see, the apples are getting bigger. They're not perfect, but they're organic, right?